So now we will see input attribute form action in input field. So guys, basically the input form action attribute specifies the URL of the file that will process the input when the form is submitted. So basically the file must be present on the server side, for which we need to provide the URL to the form action attribute. So guys, if you remember, inside the form tag we have the action attribute which specifies the file on the server side. It can be any PHP file or any other file which is responsible to handle the request that is coming from the client side. Now guys, if you have some other file that will handle the request that is coming from the client side, like for example, if you want the request to be handled in a different way when it is coming from the admin, so we can have the form action attribute that is attached to the submit button, which is separately displayed for the admin over here. So it is important to note that this attribute overrides the action attribute of the form element. So even if we have the action attribute inside the form element, but the form action attribute that we are going to specify inside the input field is going to override the action attribute that is present inside the form element. So guys, the form action attribute works with the following input types, that is submit button and the image type as well, which acts as a submit button as we had seen previously. So guys, let us check this with the help of examples in VS Code over here. So previously we had written certain text boxes, that is first name and then last name, and then we also had submit button over here, and outside the form tag we also had the input type email in this case, which we tried to link to that particular form by providing the input tag outside the form. So guys, what we are going to do is I'm going to remove these lines of code over here since we don't need input tag in this example, and we are also going to remove the ID attribute from the form tag. Now guys, over here the form tag is having the default action attribute, and let's say we have something called as action1.php. So guys, this is the file that is responsible in order to handle the request that is going from the client side, which is having the data, that is the first name and the last name over here. Now guys, let us say we want some other file to handle the same data over here with the help of another submit button. So what we will do is we will have another submit button in this case. So we say input:submit, and then as you can see, this input tag is of the type submit, and then what we can do is the value we can set it as submit as admin over here. So guys, basically this normal submit button is for the normal user, and when the admin logs into the application, then admin must click on this particular submit button, which is having the value as submit as admin over here. So when the normal user clicks on this submit button, the server side file, that is action1.php, will be called along with the required data that will be passed to the server. Now guys, when the admin clicks on this particular submit button, we need some other file to handle this particular data that is going to the server. So what we can do is we can provide the form action attribute over here. So we say form action attribute inside this input tag that is of the type submit in this case. So we say form action, and then we need to provide the file name in this case that will handle the request that is going from the admin. So over here slash, and then let's say we say action_admin.php. So guys, basically when the user clicks on this particular submit button, that is submit as admin, this particular file, that is action_admin, will be called, and not this file, that is action1.php. And this is the main functionality of the form action attribute that allows us in order to override the name of the file on the server, which will be responsible in order to handle the request that is being passed by the client side. So guys, let me just save this file now and try reloading this page once again on the browser. So as you can see, we have two buttons, that is submit and submit as admin over here. Guys, when the user provides any data in this case, so let's say we provide John and the last name as Doe over here, and when the user clicks on this submit as admin, the request will be passed to this file, that is action_admin.php and not action1.php. And when the user clicks on this simple submit button, the request will be passed to the action1.php, which is being provided as the action attribute inside the form tag. So guys, this will be the main difference. So if we click on this submit as admin over here, it says your file couldn't be accessed. That's because it is trying to find that action_admin.php file. As you can see, this particular file is getting the values of the parameters that was set by the user. So you can see the values as well, that is f name is John and L name is Doe over here. Now guys, if we go back once again in this case and we provide the same data, that is John Doe, and when we click on this normal submit button now, so when we click on this, as you can see action1.php file is being called on the server side, and this is the main functionality of the action attribute and the form action attribute that we have just seen. So in case you want some other server side file to be used in order to process the data that is being passed by the user, you can provide some other file with the help of the form action attribute that will be linked to the submit button inside the form. So guys, comment in the comment section below whether you have learned something out of this video. Please make sure that you like this video so that it reaches to more people, and subscribe to this channel so that you get the notifications on upcoming videos as well. The next video that we are going to talk about is input attribute form enc type in input field. So stay tuned.